Best personal injury law firm in the Best of Indiana County contest, Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Representative Struzzi, good morning.
Good morning, Todd.
Good to have you back with us here today as we talk about things that are going on. Just had Senator Pittman with us in our last half hour.
Okay.
And he was talking about what happened last night at IUP with the College of Osteopathic Medicine. That is a very exciting development, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is. Not only is it good for IUP and Indiana Regional Medical Center, but it's great for Indiana County. It's going to create economic opportunities for our young people and students, opportunities for rural medicine. And we were very happy, and I have to give Senator Pittman a ton of credit to announce last night $2 million towards that School of Osteopathic Medicine. Dr. Mika Rose is simply phenomenal. She brings a wealth of experience to IUP and to Indiana County, so we were very confident that that school is going to be highly successful.
Yeah, and when you think about what it says about IUP's position, not only within the community, but within the state system, and within this entire region, it sort of positions this county to be, as I called it with the senator, a medical hub of sorts.
Well, absolutely. Eds and meds, as they say. Here we have IUP expanding to be the first PASHE school to have a school of medicine like this. You have IRMC expanding with the residency program in a partnership with IUP, plus the new behavioral health facility that they're constructing. It really is going to shine a spotlight on Indiana County and IUP as a true gem in the PASHE system.
And one of the big things about it, of course, is going to be hopefully that a lot of young people who are getting educated at IUP are going to stay in this area and be community leaders, just as we anticipate that we not anticipate, but we traditionally are used to people graduating IUP, staying here, becoming really valued parts of our communities.
Well, absolutely, and I think this, really expands that opportunity. You see that already with the residency program, with students coming to IUP and just falling in love with Indiana, really, and staying here. So I think this creates a tremendous opportunity economically and really to expand our demographics here, to bring people from other areas, and to really highlight the need for more physicians in rural medicine. I think that the statistics are something like almost 1,400 to 1 is the ratio for patients to physicians right now in Pennsylvania. So there is a true need there for more physicians, particularly in rural areas. So I think it's a win-win for all of us.
Yeah. I would love to see the buildings that are going to be torn down at IUP picked up and moved to other parts of the county where they could be used. Unfortunately, you can't just do that.
Right.
But IUP is going to reshape that whole campus with this master plan that was approved yesterday.
Absolutely. And you're already seeing it happen. I mentioned that at the ceremony last night. Look at Kopchick Hall. That's an amazing asset for IUP, and you're seeing, the old buildings coming down, new buildings going up. These expansive efforts to attract students to IUP really benefits all of Indiana County and really all of Pennsylvania. As we look at higher education, we're going to see what happens with the governor's budget, but he rolled out a plan for higher education earlier, I think last week, towards the end of the week. And, we have to rethink how we look at higher education and education as a whole. But really, I think the way IUP is positioning itself, it stands to be a leader as we look at how higher education is going to be changed.
All right. So you broached the subject. Let's talk about it. The governor in his budget address is going to make some pretty, not startling because we've already had a preview of it, some pretty monumental announcements about how he'd like to see the state system designed. And where it would go moving forward. And a lot of it has to do with the tuition and the fact that the enrollment has been down over the last decade and a half, and it's time to build it back up. What did you think of what the governor said last week? Because there were a couple of announcements.
Well, there's been a lot of announcements from the governor as we lean into this budget announcement on Tuesday. I think we do have to rethink how we look at higher education, how we fund higher education. I do have some concerns with the amount of spending that the governor is proposing, not just for higher education, but education as a whole. Some of the other initiatives related to public transportation, economic development. Yes, we do need to invest in those areas, but we also need to be pragmatic in the fact that our revenues are not expected to increase as much as spending is expected to increase. And those demands are not going to go away. We're looking at demographic shifts from a older population in Pennsylvania, which puts more burden on our Medicaid, Medicare systems and the resources that are needed to fund those. So I think we have to look at this from a realistic perspective as far as revenues. But again, I think we do need to look at how we fund higher education, particularly the state-related universities. I know PASHE is going to come in for another increase this year to freeze tuition, which is very important. And I applaud Chancellor Greenstein for doing that. I believe if we can get their budget request this year, that'll be 7 years in a row that the Apache system has frozen tuition. Now, the governor is proposing $1,000 maximum tuition for people who are below the median income in Pennsylvania, which it sounds great, but again, where does that money come from? And so we have to look at these things from a practical perspective when, in fact, the revenues are going to probably hold steady and, spending is going to increase, at least proposed spending. So that's the kind of thing we have to wrestle with in Harrisburg as to how do we fund these ideas and these initiatives, but also maintain a balanced budget without having to raise any fees or taxes.
You're on the Appropriations Committee. Have you had any hint as to whether that's doable, $1,000 donation or tuition thing?
Well, the governor rolled that out, and I think we weren't involved in those discussions. I mean, at least not at my level. I know that there were members of the Education Committee that I believed in were involved in those discussions. I think it's something that we're going to have to sit down and take a look at, really examine the details behind these proposals, because all we've seen right now are press releases. And so we need to really understand the nuts and bolts of how this is going to work, how the governor proposes to fund this. Maybe he has a plan for that. But that's something that we need to understand. So, we'll be digging into it closely. We'll see what he has to say on Tuesday, and we'll start the budget hearings the end of February and into March when we can really dig into what his proposals are. I am concerned. We have almost a $46 billion budget for this fiscal year, and we'll see what he rolls out for next year.
What do you anticipate the governor's budget is going to look like?
Well, based on the proposals he's putting out there, I think we're going to be looking at a spending increase. Big number. I think that's what the governor is looking at. He has a lot of big ideas that are going to have a price tag with them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch this. And as I said to the Senator Pittman when he was here, that budget process from last year dragged out all the way into the end of the year. And we really want to see something happen in a more timely manner.
Yeah, and I hope that there were lessons learned, as I said last month. I hope there were lessons learned in the negotiation process so that we can get to a finished product before December of 2024. The people of Pennsylvania elected us to do that, and we need to do that. And really, we need to put the people first. People are struggling right now. Inflation is still high, though it's getting better. But the cost of goods, the cost to go to the grocery store, the cost to heat your homes, everything is more expensive now. And we have to understand that we cannot continue to burden people with these high cost of living. We have to do something to make people's lives better. And spending more in the budget is not going to do that.
House still not in session, of course, and that ongoing saga continues. A lot of people might be tempted to say, "What are you doing with your time?" But you're doing plenty with your time, including you've got a new office opening up, huh?
Yes, I'm very excited to announce, and this is the first time I'm announcing it publicly, that we are going to be opening a satellite office in Salzburg. It'll be at Suite 3 at 307 Point Street. I believe that's behind the grocery store. We'll be staffing that office starting on March 4th. We'll have a soft opening. It'll be Monday through Wednesdays, 9 to 4:30. Again, I don't have my glasses on. Yes, 307 Point Street in Salzburg. So we're going to have a soft opening on March 4th. I think it's important that we have the opportunity for people to come to our offices around the district. So we will have an office here in Indiana. We have a satellite office on Thursdays in Homer City. We are staffed in Blairsville on Market Street on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and now we'll have an office in Salzburg, which I did pick up as part of the redistricting, and I've been wanting to do this for some time. So I'm really happy that we'll be able to have an office for the people in Salzburg and in those areas in the southern part of the county.
When redistricting occurs, of course, districts get reshaped, and you pick up new areas. You might lose some areas and pick up new areas. And when you do, you pick up a whole new constituency.
You do.
People who have different ideas of how things are working in their lives. And so what are you hearing from that area now that maybe would be a little bit different from what you're hearing from in this area?
Well, I think it's a lot of the same issues for everyone. As I said, people are struggling right now to make ends meet. We still have a lot of issues with unemployment and people, just trying to survive right now, and we need to do everything we can to help with that. So I think opening an office it's more accessible for people in the southern part of the county. And in redistricting, I did pick up Salzburg, Conemaugh, Blacklick, and Young townships, roughly between 2,000 and 3,000 people. So we want to be there to serve those people as well. We don't want them to have to drive all the way to Blairsville or up to Indiana here to be able to take advantage of the services that we offer. And so we're really happy to be able to do that for the people in that region.
I want to go back to the budget for a second because I did want to ask you about this, and I let it slip by. basic education funding in Pennsylvania has been really volatile
Yes.
over the
Yes.
course of these last few budget cycles, and now with the court ruling and everything, and the people trying to redesign how it is that we fund basic education in Pennsylvania. I don't know how the governor's going to approach it. How do you approach it?
Well, I think we have to look at, definitely we cannot throw $6 billion at education without understanding what are we providing. A lot of people are going to school choice, charter schools. We were able to put more money into the educational improvement tax credits. I think that there has to be alternatives for people, but I really just dumping money into it without fully understanding how it's being used is not the solution. We have to find a better way for quality education. And that's going to be specific to each individual student. We have to put the money where the students are. So I thought that, I appreciate the efforts of the Basic Education Commission. I thought that there would be a more comprehensive, rather than just saying, let's put more money into the system. I don't know where that money's going to come from. Again, that's another concern we have with the budget. What is the governor going to roll out? Again, taxes continue to increase. We cannot put more burdens on taxpayers. So I really think we need to work with our educational partners on how are we delivering education? What is the best value? Where can we find ways to maybe not increase costs at a time when demographically we are losing students in Pennsylvania. So I appreciate the efforts of the commission, but just saying we need to put more money in schools is not the answer, I don't think.
It's all in the details.
Right.
All right, wonderful. You have events coming up. You have a town hall coming up, don't you?
We did a town hall on Tuesday.
One.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. We do have some other events coming up, though, Todd. On Saturday, April 27th, we're going to be partnering with the Armstrong Indiana Clarion Drug and Alcohol Commission. It's Drug Take Back Day, so in partnership with them, we're also going to have a shredding event. And so mark that on your calendar. That's going to be at Diamond Pharmacy Services, again, April 27th. We'll have a shredder there from 10 to noon, and the Drug Take Back Day goes from 10 to 2. I'm also going to be hosting a breakfast for veterans on Saturday, May 25th at the Elks. So that's going to be coming up. And then I do want to let people know we did put a significant amount of investment in the property property tax rent rebate program. And so we'll have those forms in our office for people who are eligible probably in mid-February. So, just mark that on your calendar to stop in. You can also look at revenue.pa.gov to find out if you're eligible for those property tax and rent rebates. But those really do help people on fixed incomes, senior citizens, to make ends meet.
Yeah. All right. East State Representative Jim Struzzi, thanks for the visit again.
Thanks
today.
a lot, Todd. And remember, repstruzzi.com if you want to learn more about all this stuff.
It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCSradio.com, WCCS Radio 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. I'll get it straight. I've only been here 1,000 years. Thanks, Representative Struzzi. Thanks to you for joining us here on Indiana in the Morning.